computer. Is that recording? Yeah, I think that's recording. Yeah, it's recording.
Right.
Okay, so this is kind of a different version of my podcast. It's called the Unvarnished Podcast Hangout, which is just what it is. It's just hanging out and catching up. And we have Sean Witucki right there, Katie Liddiard right there, Tom Kegler, and sorry, you're
John Brach.
John Brach.
John Brach.
I got to remember that. John Brach's here too. So yeah, I'm going to get to know John, hopefully a little bit. Sean, I've never met you in person.
Right.
We've corresponded a little bit. Tom, I know you pretty well. And we met at the Hudson River School in 2008, I think.
That was the first time, yeah.
Yeah, and then we've painted quite a bit since then. And Katie, she's been around forever.
Is that all you have to say about me? Yeah, she's been around.
We met at the Florence Academy, then you came here to the Masters Academy, and then you taught here as well. So that's everybody. Welcome to the Hangout. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Ryan.
So does anybody this is totally off the cuff and casual, so it's really just connecting and trying to catch up with friends and talk about whatever. I think, Tom, you made a request earlier that we talk about politics first. Is that right? About whether or not COVID is real and how well Trump's doing. Can we talk about the border wall?
I would say those are three topics that we should just like throw off the burner right now.
Let's talk about beauty. Talk about beauty. How's that?
Beauty and truth. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. No, I would avoid that at all costs.
So how's everything going with you, Tom? You just got back from a trip, right? Camping?
Yeah, great. I've been doing a little bit of traveling. I was in Martha's Vineyard last weekend, had a really wonderful time trotting about and getting some sketches and lots of painting ideas for this winter. Had some really good chats with good connections, gallery owner, and some really wonderful collectors. So
what galleries down there?
What's that?
What galleries down there?
The one I'm with is Edgar Town Art Gallery. It's actually in the Charlotte Inn. And it's also the Terrace Restaurant. So it's a really well-established presence there in Edgar Town. And yeah, I'm really super honored to be with Gary and Paula Conover, wonderful, amazing human beings that own the place. And they've been just wonderful for me.
Yeah.
Also wrapped up 2 workshops in the past few weeks that were really well attended and super excited to have been. I think everybody was really excited just to be outside and enjoying fresh air after being cooped up for so long. And the energy of that workshop was the best I think I've ever had. And I think just for that fact that people are just like so excited to be around like-minded individuals. The weather was great, and Letchworth Park they call that the Grand Canyon of the East, and for good reason. It's just stunning beauty there. So it was very hot, but something about the waterfalls is it's like built-in air conditioning in that valley.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
it's been good.
Workshop as well here at the Masters Academy. They can be exhausting.
They can.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. I just wrapped mine up yesterday and finished the painting today. Well, finished. But gosh, I'm tired. But I was surprised as well as you at how well attended despite COVID. It was attended today, and I was really expecting like 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really good. So I'm glad that it's working out for you as well.
Yeah, it was at max capacity. I was really impressed with it.
Oh wow.
That's great. Yeah.
That's great.
That's expected. You're Tom Kegler.
That's right.
Nothing to do with it.
Who?
And I want to plug this because, Tom, you sent me this book. You were so nice to send me this. I want to show people that
Beautiful.
this is something where can they get this? This is such a nice printing. I got to find out where you do
Nice
it.
of you to plug my book. I appreciate that.
I have one of those too.
So,
I have one too.
There
Oh,
you
I
go.
feel left out now.
Where do
Your
people get
address,
this?
I'll send you one. Thank you. Actually, the idea for the book came from John. A few years back, he had suggested, I think I wrapped up my video at that time. You crushed me, John, but John's like, you really should write a book. And I'm like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I'm not writing a book. But his persistence paid off. I think a lot of it was because I think when he said write a book, it was, in my mind, it was like it's going to be an instructional book. And I really wanted to avoid that because there's so many wonderful ones on the market. And
Yeah.
it just didn't feel the urge to tackle that. But eventually the ideas just kind of came together for a daily devotional. So it became like an art book. And again, with John and Sean's amazing encouragement through that, amongst many other people, it finally came to fruition. It was about a 2-year process, and just got in my hands in May, and the response has been great. So I'm super
that's awesome.
appreciative of
that. Speaking of how-to art books, landscape books, you know Edgar Payne's
very well. Yeah.
outdoor painting. So a couple years ago, I bought one online for $7. I thought it was going to be the reprint, and it got here, and it was a first edition signed by Edgar Payne.
Oh my God.
And then in 2011, it was stolen.
Oh yeah.
I had a workshop, and it was stolen from my library, and I was so devastated from that. And then like a month ago, out of the blue, I haven't looked that up online for 10 years. Well, I guess it hasn't been 10 years since it was stolen, but I haven't looked it up forever. But I just did a real quick Google search and found a first edition signed for $100, and I bought it. And it's the same book. It's the same book.
Wow.
So I got it back.
Who,
At least I got
who was selling it? I mean, can you somehow trace it back to figure it out?
It was some bookseller out of California.
It was amazing.
Because it was signed to a lady. It was like, to whoever, with all my love, Edgar Payne. And it's the same, it's the same book.
It's so funny because I actually just sold one for $100. Coincidence.
When I lost it, I looked it up, and all I could find was a second edition signed by his wife, and that one was $1,600.
Whoa!
So I thought I'm never gonna find a first edition again, but I did. I got it back.
Wow.
You got the one.
I got the one back. Yeah.
It's still a bargain at 107.
That's what's crazy though is that they would steal it, knowing it was a first edition, and then still only sell it for like $100. That's crazy.
I don't know. I got it back though.
Wow.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. So, and Tom, you did your own video, right? Didn't you shoot and edit and all the stuff on your own videos as well?
Yeah, I produced 2. The first one's a short one. It's about I think it's an hour-long plein air video on painting a tree. And that was sort of like documenting a 3-visit exploration of this maple. And then I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I did a pretty major one on how to create a very large studio landscape using plein air studies. Yeah. And the subject of that one was Niagara Falls.
Right.
And that's a 9-hour video. So that is
so much
work. Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
How many hours total of video did you get?
It was like, I don't know, 120 hours of video, I think it was.
Wow.
Where is that painting now?
It's currently in process of acquisition at the Niagara University at Castellani Art Museum.
That's awesome.
And with all this going on, it's definitely on temporary, hopefully hold during this, and they should be getting that fundraiser back up and going. They're trying to acquire it for the president's office.
Oh, that's cool. Great. That's cool. That's
and great. All 3 of you live near Niagara in Buffalo, right?
Yeah, we're all within a half hour of each other.
Wow. Yeah. You guys are the heart and soul of America, man. You're like hardcore living up in that weather up there. I don't know.
It's great weather. I love it.
It's just
I
dusting.
don't know if I could do those winters, man.
I'll take these winters over Florida summers any day.
Hey, that's true. I'm in my studio with the air conditioning on and I'm dripping. I'm so sweaty. If it gets over 75 degrees, I'm done.
Yeah. Our winters aren't bad.
They're not bad.
No.
You're tougher than
I would like them to be maybe a month shorter.
Yeah.
But I like a good heavy snowfall. They're great.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is
Beautiful.
It is
Oh boy. I need Tahiti, man. Just an even 77 forever.
There's got to be some place like that around. I don't know where it is, but
It's in Tahiti.
Yeah. Or San Diego. San Diego's kind of
Yeah, I'll take that. Get some fish tacos.
yeah, you took me there. We were at the convention.
That's right. We went. Of course. I take everyone there.
It was pretty. That was pretty memorable. That was a good.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun convention. Was that the last one you went to? I think that was maybe one of the last ones I went to.
I think I went the next year to Santa Fe.
Okay. Yeah. So what are you guys working on? Anything?
Well, I'm finishing up a lot of work for a solo in October. So I'm My Bomb Fine Arts in East Aurora. It's where Tom is actually finishing his solo right now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
How
is that with your galleries? Are they being well attended?
Well, Tom, you could probably speak to that more so.
I think it's an anomaly.
Yeah.
Grace at My Bombs is an amazing gallery owner. She actually represents John, Sean, and myself amongst other painters. And when my show has been on the plate for, I don't know, a year or two, we knew it was coming. So I've been painting hard, and then it was supposed to open on May 1st, and we didn't bother. We opened it up at the beginning of July, and it'll run till the first week of August. And I really didn't have high hopes. I was just hoping to pay for my frames. And seriously, but it's actually been my best show I've ever had.
Yeah, you're doing really well. Yeah.
Wow.
That's great.
It's a beautiful show.
So, so the attendance is good. Are they getting a lot of online sales, or is it still people popping in?
I think she's having a few onlines, but there's something special about it now. They actually have to call or make an appointment, so it's very limited, low impact viewings, and she caters to them really well, and will take any client that gives a call and just wants to take a look around. And I think they probably feel a little more special having that individual attention.
She's great with them. She's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's
I don't know what to attribute it to. I think, I asked her, I said, what do you attribute this to? And she basically thinks that people have time on their hands now. They may have a few extra dollars and are simply looking for something beautiful to hang on their walls to look at during this. So whatever the anomaly is.
I think you're the anomaly. I think you're it's got to be easy to sell a Tom Kegler.
And,
right. That's what I was thinking.
Well, I don't know, but thank you.
I have one gallery in Scottsdale, and I think their best time typically is after February through maybe April, and then everybody leaves. And of course, that's when everything shut down. And so, and who knows what's going to happen in the fall and winter. But man, I've been producing a lot of like videos, some I'll be posting online soon. And so I've been making a ton of paintings, some of what I think is my best work. And I mean, ultimately, I'm just producing really expensive dust collectors. That's it. I finish it, I put it in a frame, and I stick it against the wall. I don't have anywhere to really send it at this point.
Yeah.
I know there's some people that are, starting Etsy shops. Some people are selling through their website. I've started to put a few prices on my website, but you know, I think through Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I've sold stuff at lower prices, but you know, anything over like $3,000 seems to be a lot harder to sell through social media or whatever. And a lot of the work I'm doing is a little bit bigger, so I'm getting tired of having studio sales where I take like, you know, $8,000 paintings and sell them for $1,200. I actually had a studio sale in November, and I had a painting that I brought all the way down to, I think I brought it down to like $2,000. And, you know, nobody bought it. It had this really beautiful hand carved frame on it. And then later, I ended up selling it for 15 grand.
Whoa.
And it just, you find the right person that values it. It makes a difference, but you feel like your work has value. You finish it, you're happy with it, you frame it nicely. You know what things have sold for in the past. You want to keep that relatively consistent, but it really matters, you know, in terms of getting it in front of the right people. Like you're talking about the gallery people that you work with being great people, and they do really well for you. You really have to have that. You've got to have someone in your corner, and you've got to have them putting it in front of the right collectors.
Absolutely.
Because it's like anything else, you know, it's only worth what people are willing to pay for it. But I think we've all been in that place where it just keeps stacking up and stacking up. And we're like, I just got to get it out of here. And maybe I'll make some money just through sheer volume sales, you know. But it's painful. It's painful to let things go that, you know, in a different setting would have far more value.
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot more commissions through all of this.
Really?
That's great.
I've had more people contacting me for commissions than I typically do.
Wow.
I don't know if it's just because they're looking at the website and then they saw an idea sparks and they've got time on their hands or what, but I've had a lot more commissions recently.
That's great.
What website are they looking at, Sean? Are they looking at your website? What
What's that?
website are they looking at?
Just my website.
Ah.
Just my personal
That's
website.
great.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've had a better social media presence and that's why, or what do you think is driving that?
Actually, I'm really not sure. I've had a lot of local commissions. I had one in New York City, but mostly local. And I don't know if it's just that they, you know, see something from the gallery they're looking at and then they go to my website or what, but I don't think it's really too much social media. I haven't been really on top of that lately, so I've been off my game there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been better now for commissions. I mean, I haven't really done mammoth commissions, but you know, pieces here and there. It's been kind of nice. So
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Commissions can be great. That guaranteed income. I've been really lucky with commissions in terms of like who I've worked with. I haven't really had many people that give me a hard time. I've heard some pretty bad stories through commissions, you know, just not meeting eye to eye with, you know, what's happening with the piece. But I've been really lucky with that. But they can be fantastic. I've gotten a couple as well that have kind of kept me afloat through this whole thing. Yeah, as far as just painting what I want, I'm having a hard time finding an outlet for that right now. I haven't gone gallery shopping for like a decade, but I'm thinking maybe it's time to start looking for, since my gallery is basically just a winter gallery, I'm thinking maybe I should find somewhere that's more of a summer gallery. But
Tom, you were shopping for a gallery, weren't you, last year?
Well, I started thinking about it.
Didn't John Pence close?
I've got decent representation up here on the upper East Coast, Northeast, and I used to have several really wonderful galleries down in the West and Southwest. Many of them have changed hands or simply had retirements. You know, John Pence was kind of my anchor out there, and some really good ones down in Santa Fe that went different directions. So it's on my radar, but obviously this is not the best time to be shopping around. So in the next year or two, I'll start seeing what's available as far as galleries down in the Southwest area.
How is it with in your guys' area? I know on the East Coast it's a little different. environment. Utah, for me, tends to be quite frugal. People, I think they appreciate the arts, but they also kind of have this attitude like, I'll just make it myself. Or they'll buy Utah artists, but they'll go out of state to buy them. They'll go up to Jackson, they'll go down to Santa Fe, they'll go to Scottsdale, but and they'll pay the prices, the gallery prices there. But if they were to come to my studio, they tend to want some deal or it's a hard sell in Utah. But the East Coast seems to have a different type of appreciation for art. Is that true in Buffalo? I mean, because it's still a relatively small community, right? But
it's a small city, and it's a lunch bucket community too, Ryan.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of big money here. It's not Chicago or New York or Boston. It's pretty much been a blue collar town.
Yeah.
It still is. It's not rolling in cash.
So most of the collectors you might have would be south, or maybe the collectors around you guys are buying maybe more affordable paintings at maybe a lower price point or something. Your larger work would have to sell elsewhere.
I think the collectors around here, it's either they collect or they don't, and the ones that do really collect. They're
That's
into
nice.
it, and they continue to buy.
Yeah,
that's really nice though.
But there's not a plethora of them.
Yeah.
There's those set collectors, and it's and there's some new ones coming into the fold, I think. But I'd like to see more younger collectors coming in. It'd be nice to kind of, get the playing field a little bit more open.
Yeah. It's interesting. Trying to figure out how to develop a certain type of connoisseurship. I've had this idea for a while now. It's kind of, the podcast is really for me a small version of the idea, but I've wanted to do a television show where I visit different cities and talk about the art of that city, the history of the city, and get into the artists that are working there today, talk about the tradition that's being kept alive by the artists today. I actually sent a pitch deck to a big producer recently. I'm hoping to hear back from him, but I think if there was a way we could, like a lot of the chef shows, the culinary shows that are out there, I think it just has opened up such a wide appreciation in a way that television and film is the media of our day. If we could find a way to get into the home of the average person through television media, I think a lot more people would start to appreciate what we do, to even know that it's being done at such a high level and at such a large volume, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it would help everybody who's doing representational art to have some sort of platform that really showcases it and brings it to the average person. I think the average person has the capacity for appreciation as much as anyone else does. And if they understood that, how important it is to live with original art and how accessible it can be, it doesn't have to be massively expensive to get really good stuff. And I think if more people knew that, I think more people would probably buy. Even the average person, typically could afford maybe a $500 to maybe even a $2,500 painting. And I think once you get it, you put it in your house, it's a bug you will always appreciate.
And it's a bug, you'll keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like collecting baseball cards, or whenever you get into a thing, it just becomes like it's addictive.
Yeah. That's a great idea, Ryan.
Yeah.
So, Anthony Bourdain of art, man. That's a great idea.
That's what I'm trying to do. Here's the frustration though. I was gonna throw a bunch of money on my credit card. I had a guy, I don't know if you guys have watched the podcast. Of course you have. You've watched every episode several times probably. But the second episode I did was Micah Christensen, who's amazing, PhD in art history from the University of London. He got his master's from Sotheby's. He's a brilliant guy, super magnetic. He was going to be my co-host for this thing. He was on board. I had a videographer. I had like film crew, everything. And I was going to start in New York. And I emailed a bunch of artists there, and not one person emailed me back. I thought the money would be the hardest thing to get this going. It's not. It's trying to schedule time with artists and get them to respond to me. That's the hardest thing.
That's surprising. That's surprising.
Anyone to like not even respond to the email, let alone like put something on the calendar.
Wow.
That's disappointing.
It was, but I'm finding that's true of like I'm starting to slide into that thing too. It's harder and harder for me to respond to emails anymore. I get a little bit behind, but yeah, there's some artists are just terrible at keeping up with those correspondences.
Well, instead of New York, you should make Buffalo your first.
Come up to
stop.
Buffalo.
There you go.
The cities I was considering were because each city would be a whole season, and so you'd have like 10 to 12 episode seasons, and one would be Paris, London, Barcelona, Florence. I'd include Rome in that. Sydney, Los Angeles, and New York. And I think New York could maybe encompass a little bit wider range, right? You maybe talk about the museums in New York City and who's working there, but I think you could probably pull in artists from a little wider range. But yeah, I thought New York might be the cheapest to start at. We'll just go, we'll spend 2 weeks filming, and there'd be an episode that opens on the city, talks about the history of the city, visits museums, really sets it up. And then you'd have breakout episodes, which are like short biographies of you spend a day with an artist and just see what their day's like and do a real bio sketch of each one.
That's awesome.
And then
that is pretty cool.
And then, yeah, there's more to it. There's we would all paint together for a week as well. We'd have a model and paint together, and we'd record all of the conversations, whatever, and you'd tie it together so that it was binge watchable. You want to get to that next episode and see more, but seriously, it's the holdup is the artists. The holdup is trying to get artists to just even respond to the question, are you interested in this?
Wow.
So I hope I can figure it out.
Makes sense, but
I love it. I love this type of thing. I love like even looking into what's behind you guys in your studios and getting a glimpse into these lives and getting to know people better. It's one of my favorite things about being in this profession is, everybody's so cool, and it's so fun to see like what inspires people. And we're living a life of passion, which is uncommon. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that what did Henry David Thoreau said? Most men lead lives of quiet desperation. It's not us. No. We lead lives of passion, and it's interesting. It's endlessly interesting to me to talk to people like that.
That's what this is. I didn't know this was passion. I didn't.
You thought it was all work?
Yeah, it seems that way sometimes.
How far did you get with this? What was this last year before this all hit, or?
It was 2 years ago. Wow. I tried to do this, and honestly, I emailed 11 artists, and I didn't get one response, not one.
All on the phone. I don't know.
To me, it sounds like the common thread is you, Ryan.
It might be that everybody likes the idea. They just don't want to do it with me.
So what do you guys want to pick this up? And
it's a real possibility. Yeah.
Everybody will respond to Tom. So have Tom send the emails.
That's true.
They'll all respond.
Katie tells me this all the time. If anyone else was trying to do it, it would be fine. I have ideas for shows. I have ideas for all these things. She's like, yeah, it would be cool, but nobody's going to do it with you.
It's good for you. Well, I mean, we've had these conversations several times now, that getting a TV show would be incredibly beneficial to getting in front of the wider audience, not just the 25,000 people that all follow us, right? On social media. It's going to be millions of people instead, which I think is a huge benefit to everyone in the profession.
Yeah.
And the number one complaint that I hear from people is, oh, I don't know anything about art. Well, you don't have to. It's kind of a gut thing, right? And so I feel like, unfortunately, our education in terms of kind of growing up, it not being a terribly, I guess, important thing in a lot of people's education, it's really hurt the collectors in the long run for us, that they don't feel worthy, or they don't feel smart enough to pick out a piece of a painting on a wall and say, I want that in my home. Because, oh no, what if it's the wrong piece? Or what don't I know about art to make sure that I'm getting a good piece? And I think that's
not knowing, what makes it good, what makes it valuable, if you're getting a good deal on it. I think having that conversation and putting it out in a more public setting would be, again, it would be the most beneficial thing I can think of for everyone, because the way I was going to present it would be zero discussion about the abstract, zero discussion about the fight between the two worlds, zero discussion about
there is no fight.
Any of that world. It would just be purely centered on representational art, talking about why we love it, why we do it, the things that go into it, the training, the effort, the passion, the narrative, everything behind it, and just I think people really appreciate craftsmanship. I think people, we love. I used to grow up watching woodworking shows, and we all grew up with Bob Ross, and we all grew up with. I love watching chefs, and their passion about whatever they're doing, or I've watched shows on, the making of violins, or anything like that is so interesting to me, to see the craftsmanship and the tradition behind it. I think more people would be interested, but at the moment, I feel like we're constantly preaching to the choir. Even the conferences are great, but it's always the same people. The galleries are great, but it's usually the same collectors. And what you're talking about, Sean, in getting younger collectors and opening up a new audience, I think, how do you do that? Nobody seems to have cracked that nut, but I think television is the ubiquitous form, and would be probably the most powerful platform we could use in order to reach the average person.
I think Katie mentioned earlier being educated, and I think that's a big problem as well. Education right now, not just for on the collector side of it, but just educating kids that representational art has the value that it has.
Yeah.
And, Tom and I, we both deal with this constantly. We both teach, art education, and, it's a constant battle. It's a constant fight, and it's a difficult thing. But I think the more we do that, these younger kids are going to grow into connoisseurs of art, and they're going to go to college, and they're going to learn more about it, and then they're going to take these things with them beyond. And I think that's how it starts to change, just through education.
How do you get it to the younger kids though right now? Because art education is not valued at all in schools, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
so how do you do it?
I'm very lucky. I teach at Buffalo Academy for Visual and Performing Arts, so I teach at an art school. And art education is obviously valued there. And I think through New York State, it's actually a requirement that the kids have art education. So they have to take art education. And I think the important thing is getting the teachers and the educators to get these kids to get on this path as well. I teach one period a day of 5th and 6th grade, and I teach 5th and 6th graders bark drawings. Wow. The rest. I teach high school kids, but I requested to have a one period a day of these young kids because I wanted to get them learning these things at the very, very beginning. So I'm teaching, 12-year-olds how to do bark drawings.
Wow.
Every day.
How are they receiving it?
Mixed.
Yeah.
They're young kids, so it's tough.
Right.
And it's a very analytical process.
Right.
But once they start to get it and they can see that they can actually do it, and I think that's where a big downfall is. These kids aren't taught how to do these things, so they just give up on it.
Right. Right.
And once they can see that it is possible that they can create these things, it projects them even further.
Yeah.
So, it's tough at first, but eventually once they start to get it, it's like riding a bike. Once they get it, they can't stop. So.
Well, once a student sees that it's possible, at first it's really intimidating.
Yeah.
But when you unlock the potential, when you show them that this is possible and you can do it, and they catch that, it's exciting. I tried to do a program here where I did a presentation at the Utah Arts Education Association, where like all the art teachers from the state come for this like 3-day thing. And I did a presentation there where I offered a program where I was going to sign up 10 schools, and those teachers would sign up 15 of their AP students, or juniors or seniors, and they would come. This would be like a field trip. They'd come for the day. They'd get 6 hours of instruction, and we would do a portrait from a live model, and I would give them all this instruction and critiques and feedback, and then we would keep all their drawings, and the teacher would do it too. And at the end, after all 10 schools came, we would have a big exhibition of all their drawings. And we were gonna give cash prizes for some of the winners, and summer scholarships for several of the students, summer scholarships for the teachers, because I wanted the teachers to do drawings as well. So summer scholarships for the teachers. It was $40 per student, and for that they got the 6 hours of instruction, a T-shirt, and lunch for $40. And I couldn't get one school to sign up. And the whole idea was really like, let's give some good instruction at a younger age, but let's also in that discussion have the talk about, well, when we had the show, I was going to invite all the students that came and their parents, because what I wanted to do is have a panel discussion at the exhibition where we talked about the profession of art. I was going to have a couple professional artists, local professionals, talk about art as a viable profession. We're going to talk to them about better avenues for art education that are maybe outside the university. Why maybe a degree in art is less important today than just a really great education. We should get it, more from academies or ateliers, and just talk to the parents about how this can be a viable direction that their kids can go to. Because I think that's important too. If you're going to get younger kids into it, is getting their parents to support it, which is not always the case. But I was a little frustrated that we got zero response for it. I thought it was going to be a no-brainer that we'd get a bunch of people signing up and that we'd have a waiting list. But
so again, I think that you need to have Tom head this up, and all of a sudden it's a success.
I'm a good idea man, but again, nobody wants to
they're really good ideas. It doesn't make any sense. They're not taking off.
I'll tell you what. Every year, I take a group of students to New York City, and we go to Grand Central Atelier.
Oh yeah.
And they take a workshop with Ted Minoff.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it's so successful, and so many of these kids end up going to school in New York, and they don't always attend ateliers and things like that.
Yeah.
But they're in New York, they're doing the art in the city, and it's great.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's so nice to be able to just let people know that it can be a reality. Like when I was in high school, none of my family knew anything about art. I didn't have anyone around me that knew anything about art. My high school teachers didn't really know anything. My high school art teachers didn't really know anything about art. And so they didn't know how to direct me. I'd never heard of Sargent until I was like a sophomore in college. And I signed up for illustration because I thought at least it was commercial, and maybe that means money, and there's no way you could make money as an artist. And it wasn't until my junior year that I met Bert Silverman, and I was like, oh, you can paint whatever you want and make other people care about it. That's what I want to do. So my sort of path to understanding this whole world, or even thinking it was an option, was quite long and winding. And I just don't think it has to be that, you know. I can't believe I stayed with it. I think it was really just because I didn't want to study biology. I didn't want to have like a real job, you know. I thought, if there's any way I can not be like an adult for the rest of my life, that's what I want to do. And I did it. I figured it out.
Yeah, I think all of us are wondering how we stayed with it, honestly.
Hey, Ryan, are there any other organizations that you can approach with your idea?
For
Art Renewal Center. I don't know, Tom, you probably have.
I think Art Renewal Center would be a great start. They may have some connections to get a little bit broader reach.
Well, I think it might, the Zoom thing might open some doors, you know, because if the teachers don't have to go to the, I don't know how high school teachers, what they have to do to like take people on a field trip, but if they don't have to go through that whole process of getting a bus and, you know, getting permission slips and all that other stuff, if they could just have, you know, an iMac or something in front of a class full of AP art students, that might be an option to make it a more viable thing during the school year, to reach more people.
I think you're going to totally see that happen now that us as teachers were forced into that mode of teaching, and the whole experience we use Google Meet as opposed to Zoom, which more or less the same thing. Most teachers now are pretty versed in this method of teaching by force over the last few months.
Right.
You know, I'm sure we'll be using more of it. And you alluded to the fact that the whole field trip thing, the funding for that has been going down every year. Yet we as teachers always want to be able to expose our students to professionals, whatever that is, whether it's photography or or animation or whatever. So this, I think you're going to see a significant shift in methodologies of teaching using Zoom and Google Meet to reach out to professionals and expose our students to that.
Yeah. Well, getting into a real studio. I don't know if you guys remember the first time you visited an artist who was like legit and they had a real studio. It's magical. It's just like, so you sit in this room and make pretty stuff all day, and that's your day. That's how you spend your day. And it was just like, man, that's what I want to do. That's all I want to do.
I remember walking into Tom's studio thinking.
Yeah, I still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my first studio, the first studio artist I visited, I think was Thomas Aquinas Daly. That he actually lives about an hour from here. He's just an amazing human and a very humble studio, but boy, what he produces in there just blow your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's top notch.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been fortunate to go there, us three, you know, fairly often, and we also get together with him and go fishing and just have these experiences. He's sort of the godfather of the Western New York artists, I think.
Yeah. I've seen some studios like I don't know if you guys know Michael Coleman. I'm hopefully going to do a podcast with him because his studio is just over the top. I mean, he's a big hunter. He has every like animal you can think of, which I used to think was a little bit cooler. Now I'm becoming a little bit more environmentally conscious. So I don't know how I feel about it now, but he's got like a full giraffe and a hippo head, and he's got a full lion, and he's got everything. He's got big whale tusks and elephant tusks and like all kinds of things, and then a massive collection of just Wilhelm Kunerts and God, I can't even like think of everybody. He's got so many amazing paintings from the 19th century and etchings and whatever. It's just unbelievable. And then I've seen like I remember years ago seeing a spread in American Artist magazine about me in situ, and it showed a picture of him in just like a spare bedroom with one of those regular, just, you know, incandescent lights, and a model in this pose. And then it showed the painting, and I was like, how do you take that crappy lighting and that like tiny little space in Southern California and create this insane masterpiece? You don't need much to do really special things.
Yeah, but he's a special case. Come on, not everyone is able to do what he does.
I'm just saying, like, you make your space work. You know, if you have a basement apartment and you know, you don't have a whole lot of money to get going, and your light sucks, and people have made it work, and they've done pretty spectacular things with.
I'm in a 10 by 10 foot room. My studio is extremely tiny, and it's tough when you're preparing for a solo and you have so many pieces. I'm tripping over everything, and guitars laying on the floor, and it's cramped. It's tough. I'm constantly cleaning, but you know, it's home.
Right. Yeah, it's I mean, I know, like, Greg Mortensen, if you guys know Greg Mortensen. I think he's like a, you know, stay-at-home dad. He's watching the kids. He gets up with them, walks them to school, comes back. I'm sorry, when they weren't in school, when they were a little bit younger, he'd stay home and play with them all day. His wife was at work. She'd get home. He'd go in his studio and work till 2, 3 in the morning, get up and do it again the next day. I mean, people have some serious limitations, and they make it work. You know, I think it goes back to that sort of dedicated passion. When you love to do this, you'll find a way.
Yep, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. So does anybody have anything on the easel you want to show me? Show me some stuff. What are you guys working on? Sean, you've got a lot. You got a solo show. Let's preview it.
Well, it's all packed away and nothing's framed yet, but I don't do a lot of figure work. Yeah. And when COVID hit, I said to myself, I said, you know what? I'm doing paintings for me, and I don't care if they sell, and I don't, whatever. So I started doing some paintings of my kids. So I have, this is my daughter Meadow, and I have a few back here, my son, and there's one of my son there. And so I'm doing some figure work now, which is very different for me, and it's been a great experience.
Nice. Yeah, it's hard to paint your kids. It's so rewarding, but it when you're done, like, I won't even think about sending them off.
Well, you know what's funny? You know what's funny about that? I asked my daughter Meadow. She just turned 11, and I said, "Honey," I said, "do you think I should put a really high price tag on this so nobody buys it?" You know? And she said, "No, Dad." She said, "I want somebody to buy it." She said, "That would be so awesome if somebody bought a picture of me to hang in their house." Yeah. And I thought that was pretty interesting. It was pretty cool that she had that much foresight to think of that.
Yeah. I put a portrait of my daughter. I'll show it to you. I put this portrait of my daughter, which I love.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I put that one in a show in a museum here, and I didn't want to sell it, so I put a price tag, I think, of like $125,000 on it. Like, I thought, if it sells for that, I'll repaint it. But I think I got some feedback from some people in the community that they were like, they thought I was so arrogant when they saw that price. I don't think they understood that it was just kidding.
Kind of tongue, yeah.
But yeah, that's what I did.
I did that as a
student. I did a cast painting at Florence when I was a student, and I really liked it. But I had a solo show in Jackson in 2007, and I thought, well, I really like this. I'm proud of it. I want to show it. And the gallery said, we're not going to show it unless it's for sale. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to charge 25 grand for this. It's a cast painting, and it was like one of the first things to sell.
Wow.
I thought, oh my gosh. And then I told one person at the Florence Academy, and then it blew up, and people were really mad. You know, because the Florence is like selling is such a dirty thing. Even though we all need to do it,
Yeah.
the combination of the filthy lucre and the purity of painting is so taboo in some of these academies. So how dare you even put a price tag on your student work? So it didn't go over well, but yeah, it doesn't always work. But if you put that price tag on and it sells, it's a win. You win.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're just getting over a solo show, Tom. So
Yeah.
You ever take a break? You ever just take a little while and chill out, or are you just always on?
This year's been great, and in fact, getting ready for a show and releasing the book, that I frankly was kind of out of room in the studio. And I've been doing a lot more sketching and sort of planning for some future paintings. I've got a handful of small ones that I've been working on, and I'll get back in that group pretty soon. But really, my efforts have been fulfilling orders for the books and gearing up for the show. So right now the dust is kind of settling, so I'm just now starting to get back in the groove. I see you just got back from Yellowstone, yes?
Yeah, we went there. So our plans this year were.
I know there's a random offshoot, but what I'm getting at is I'm taking a slight break because I'm actually taking my kids out there
to Yellowstone. Nice.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to exploring that landscape. I can't wait to just dig in.
There's so many things. When are you going?
We leave next week.
Okay. Because there's some things that are closed. Like there's one place called the Fire Hole, and it's a beautiful canyon, and you can still drive through the canyon. But there's a place where you can swim, and above it there's just down the road there's geysers, so it feeds into the river, and so it's kind of warm.
Yeah.
And it's a swimming hole, but it was closed. It's like our favorite place, but it was closed, unfortunately. What's that?
They give a reason why it was closed?
I think just COVID. They didn't want a bunch of people swimming all together, but it was crowded. I mean, geez,
Don't tell me that. That's why I was trying to go this year because I didn't think it would be crowded.
It was really crowded.
All of the national parks
you're going to be
are
camping?
crowded. They're crazy crowded.
We're going to be flying into Cody and hanging out there for a little bit with a friend, and then we got a cabin right next to Old Faithful for 3 days.
Oh, nice. That'll be perfect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a great kind of central spot.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. You'll have a car, so you'll be able to drive to all the other spots, right?
Yeah. So we'll have a car. But anyway, back to the question on producing work in studio. So yeah, just a lot of the things going on, and educating my kids and enjoying the summer with them. So it's a lot of sort of sketching ideas and getting sort of poised for a good push on painting this fall. Yeah.
There's so many different types of landscapes there. It's really shocking. You drive that main thing and it's amazing. You feel like you're on totally different planets every 20 minutes. It's just, Excellent. It's amazing how many different types of landscapes you see within that one geographical region.
Excellent.
It always makes me nervous, because you look around and you realize that you're in the middle of one of the largest super volcanoes in the world. And I think if it goes off, I'd rather be there when it goes off, so I don't have to experience the fallout. You'd just be gone. You'd just be obliterated immediately. It's such a massive amount of space. If that thing goes, we're done.
Oh yeah.
All of humanity is gone.
It'd be nice to have just a lawn chair and just sort of sit back and watch the fire.
Watch it wave over you. Yeah. That'll be fun for you.
I can't wait. That'll be great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that when you have a show to paint for, I enjoy having that. I work better under pressure.
Yeah.
I'm always building a body of work, but when I have an end product or an end event in mind, it certainly helps.
Yeah.
So this was nice to bring this one to fruition, and now I've just got lots of random ideas and from whether it's Martha's Vineyard or here in Western New York. So I look forward to digging in this fall.
So let me ask, this is be for all of you. When you prepare for a show, when you think about creating a body of work, I know maybe a one-man show is a little different than just sitting in your studio and painting, but I think one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about, well, I guess I've been thinking about it for 15 years, is branding and doing it in obviously in a sincere way, but for the last, I'd say 15 years, I really had this idea that I didn't want to have a weakness in painting. I wanted to be able to tackle the figure as well as the landscape, as well as like still life elements, as well as interiors or whatever. So, and I'm endlessly interested in so many different subjects. So, and I felt like maybe, you know, I'll play the long game of doing everything that I'm interested in, and through, you know, in retrospect, people will see the tie in my work. But I feel like I kind of shot myself in the foot that way, in that nobody really knows what to expect from me at this point. I don't have a distinct thing that I do, or at least I don't. It doesn't.
Well,
appear.
look right behind you. You have a figure, you have a floral, you have a landscape. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, and so now I'm looking at like all the ideas I have. I really, really want to paint. I'm interested in, you know, all these various things, but I'm trying to be a little bit more narrow in my my scope in terms of subject matter. You know, I think I'm trying to try a different take on it. Maybe I do need to brand myself by doing, because there's some people like Jeremy Lipking, a Michael Klein, that have like a really distinct touch, or really distinct maybe coloration, or there's something about stylistically that makes them really obvious who's painting it. And so they can kind of brand themselves based on that. I don't think I have a particular touch like that. And so mine might be more geared towards subject matter. And so it's always been a question to me, do I, you know, even when I do landscapes, if I remember I just sent, in January, I sent a bunch of paintings to a gallery, and I looked at the body of work when I got home, and I thought, God, nothing holds together here. I've got a couple like desert scenes. I've got a couple of more green rolling hill scenes. I have a figure. I have a figure in the redwoods. I have, I mean, a figure in the wildflowers. I've got, I mean, what if you put all those on the same wall, a collector would think they're all done from different artists. And for me, I don't know what's right or wrong. But I feel like maybe I've kind of shot myself in the foot that way. When you guys are putting together a show, when you're thinking about what to paint, do you guys think about that? That's for everyone. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on that.
I feel very similar to what you're saying. And I feel like, you know, I would ask you this question: are you happy with the work you're producing? And are you making a living? And if you can answer yes to those questions, then I think you're doing the right thing.
Well, I think the thing that I guess I'm frustrated by is, I guess, the percentage of work that I produce, the percentage of work that I sell based on what I produce is lower than I think it should be, right? I mean, some people talk about, I remember talking to Greg Mortensen recently, and he said, oh, I just finished this commission. I don't have anything in my studio right now. And I was like, what does that even mean? I could put on a one-man show right now with 50 pieces and still have 150 left in my studio. I have no idea what it means to make a painting, sell it, make another one and sell that. You know what I'm saying? The percentage of things that I make versus what I sell is far lower than I want it to be. And that's where I feel like maybe the branding has something to do with it. I don't know if that's true, but it's a running theory that, you know, maybe if I hold my subject matter a little bit closer together for at least maybe a series, maybe 20 paintings or something, that people will be like, oh, he's the guy that does the girl in the redwoods or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I know for my show, I haven't really put too much thought in keeping it super consistent. The whole time, I have so many things in my mind. And for me, painting isn't just about painting. It's about learning the subject and understanding what's there and so on. And so that's what I'm concerned with. And sometimes stylistically I change because I want to be able to try different things and I want to explore different avenues. I think if I do the same thing over and over and over, I'm going to become bored with it.
Yeah.
So I'm just painting what I love and who I am. And I feel like, to me, if I don't do that, I wouldn't be happy with the show. And I could sell all the paintings, but if I'm not happy with it, the money would be great, but I'd rather be happy with the work.
Yeah, it becomes more of a belabored effort.
Yeah.
It's less sincere for sure.
I think inevitably, whatever is coming out of your brain and, you know, your hand to the brush to the canvas, inevitably there's going to be some kind of thematic thread, you know, and it may be something subtle or it might be something very obvious. Branding, I've never really concerned myself with branding, predominantly because, you know, my paintings are not my sole income and I don't have to think about it that way. So although my mind is definitely thinking about the business aspect of it, ultimately my work is it's coming from, you know, the depths of the emotion of the experience. And that's pretty much what I paint, are experiences.
Yeah.
You know, even I do very few figures. I do a handful. Most of what I'm doing, I would say it's 85% landscapes, maybe 15% stills, but inevitably even the still lifes have a common thread within the landscape. You know, as a hunter, fisherman, camper, those experiences are infused within the still life, or they're infused within the landscape. But I don't, when I'm painting for a show, I feel like the common thread just kind of evolves on its own. And I rely on the gallery to completely give 100% freedom to the gallery to hang it in a way that is an experience in itself.
Yeah.
And so taking these paintings and hanging them in a way that's going to complement each other, on, you know, because inevitably there's more than one wall, so, or more than one room in a lot of cases. So, you know, this room is going to embody a series of, perhaps the theme could be the time of day, or it could be, or it could be a common motif of water that's portrayed in different times of day or different times of year.
Yeah.
And I very rarely have to work with a gallery to make those rooms really sing. I rely on, that's what they do. And and that usually works out well in the way they hang it.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I'm not certainly not going to be able to speak to everybody, but
yeah,
I don't really think of myself in a way of branding. And it may do me well. I mean, my work kind of is narrowed down to landscape, so I'm not opposed to exploring other motifs and subject matter, but and I like challenging myself, like Sean was saying too, but it's hard for me to give input to someone like you, Brian. I think your work is just phenomenal in exploring these different subject matter and different approaches. I think they hang really well together. I remember when we first met and I saw your work for the first time was at that little show in Hunter.
That's
during
right.
the first week of the fellowship. And your work I thought just stood out. And it wasn't only because, but it was in large part by the frames you chose.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Addiction.
And sometimes that's, you know, when you're just looking at paintings on a wall, especially in a gallery, sometimes it's just, you need that common thread of the frame, and that's what set yours apart. Even though the subject was sort of varied.
I always tell my framer, I'd sell my work so much better if I just put like mirrors in the frames and put that on the wall. Still the frame. I swear the thing every single show I've been to where I have a significant amount of work at, the compliment I get inevitably 99 times out of 100 is, I love your frames.
The presentation is everything. It's so important.
And I'm like, I always have to remind them there's a painting in it.
Don't sell yourself short, my friend. Your painting is phenomenal.
No, thank you.
But you know,
I think I'm forced into thinking about the branding issue, because I do paint whatever I want, but now I'm looking at it and saying I'd like to be less anonymous. I'd like to be able to have a little bit more confidence when something sells and I put these expensive frames on it, that it's going to find a home relatively quickly. And that's not something that I've developed an extreme confidence in. And so I'm sort of forced into trying to assess why that is. And so that's where the branding issue comes in. Is it that? Is it that I'm like Snoop Dogg trying to do a Western album and everybody just wants me to do rap? I don't know.
No, I think it's definitely a smart thing. We as artists, I don't think we're given that that aspect in our education. I came from a graphic design background, and I think that really helped me in thinking about, at least subliminally, branding or thinking about marketing, and it's not touched upon nearly enough for fine artists. It's definitely a lack, because you could be the best painter in the world, but if it's not getting in front of the right eyes,
that's right.
It's tough.
Katie, you've got a good brand. I mean, you've got you've got such a nice touch. Your still lifes hold together so well. I think you're one of those that your touch specifically helps, because you have work that holds together just based on the aesthetic quality. Maybe the coloration is part of that, the softness of it. I would think. Well, you're also doing mostly still lifes right now.
Right. Well, I and that is mostly because my portraiture sucks. For as natural as I am towards still life. No, seriously.
You're good. You're a good figure painter.
Figure, but portrait.
You put eyes on a nose on it, and it's
seriously, there's something I can paint from the neck down, no problem, but I could have faceless figures and be happy. But it's really interesting. I don't understand why still life clicks so well for me, but portraiture there's a block there. So it just naturally tends to be that I set up a still life and it kind of flows off the brush. So I set up another one and keep going that way. And then that leads itself really nicely into florals as well, of course. So my brand, or I guess you could say, is more laziness than anything, if I'm being completely honest.
Oh, I don't believe that.
By default.
Yeah, right.
What about you, John?
I'm all over the place. I was out of art for a lot of years, Ryan, and I came back about 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm all over the place. I'm trying to paint life experience. 40 years ago, I was a genre painter. Now I'm doing still lifes, occasional portraits, landscapes.
Yeah, I'll tell you, John is one of the best draftsmen I know. That guy, my favorite piece in all the pieces I have of all the artists I have, the favorite piece that I have is a drawing that John did of an interior, a large tree on his property. And it's the absolute favorite piece that I own. And I look at it every day. That guy can draw like nobody's business.
You're being generous, Sean.
And
thank you.
John's, you definitely have a unique touch. Your calligraphy with the brush as well as the pencil is quite unique and enviable.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Well, Sean and Tom are teaching me a lot, Brian.
So us three, we actually get together, when things are normal, we get together, a couple times a month, and everybody brings over paintings, and we
drink wine, and
we have an adult beverage, and we chat politics actually sometimes, and art, and
we decide who needs to be shot.
And anyway, every artist knows how important it is to have a community.
Yeah.
We as artists, working in the studio isolated, not knowing whether we're hitting the mark, it's really important to have a camaraderie, and I feel fortunate not only with these guys, but there's several other artists in our small Western New York town that we are like-minded, like-visioned, and I think it's important to have, like, this is a great venue for this, so we can get together.
Yeah,
But even though it's not the same as getting together and looking at somebody's painting and really, you know, holding it and giving each other solid critiques. That's such a thing.
It's really important. I said this before, I think on podcasts before, but I read biographies. I love 19th century biographies, and it's constant. It's in every single one that these guys were interacting with each other regularly. And the quote that I love, I can't even remember who said it, but he said, we make it a point to visit each other's studio between 3 and 4 times a week with the express purpose of critical review.
Awesome.
And I think, like, I walk through that museum and you just look at these paintings and you think these are men of genius. And I've changed my idea about that. And I think these are men who, as a group, were genius. That men and women, sorry, these are
say that.
these are artists who created brilliant works of art, but they did it with each other. They did it with this interactive, constant feedback, and it's one of the reasons I started a school is because the community I had in Florence was so impactful. You know, when I was there, it was Stephen Bauman and Jordan Sokol and Andy Amaral, Yura Bedic and Hunter Eddy and you know, and then we went to the Hudson River with Jacob Collins, Ted Minoff, Travis Schlott, Colleen Berry, Will St. John, Shane Wolf, Maya Gurpidi. I mean, it was
some of the best stars.
Unbelievable. And then, you know, every 2 or 3 nights we'd get together and put everything that we'd done up in the barn, and everybody'd look at it and have these discussions, and it was an explosion of quality. In a very short period of time, everybody got monstrously better. And I think that that's what I'm trying to get here is as a community. And I think this sort of platform at least allows us to stay up with each other a little bit better. It's one thing that I haven't been great at is keeping the community that I do have, because I know a lot of artists, but keeping up with them and just keeping in touch and you know, seeing how they're doing. This is what I'm hoping I can do more often. But even this, a simple 1 hour, hour and a half phone call has been really difficult for me to get artists.
So have Tom head it up. And
Tom, if you could, somebody.
A lot of pressure, people.
I need a better face, man. I need a better face to my ideas. I've got so many good ideas. If we have somebody more likable that can implement them. Yeah. Anyways, I mean, thank you guys for joining me for this. It was great having this conversation with you. Does anybody want to show like anything up close they're working on? Show me something. Let's end with. Let's
start with Sean. I'll find some while he's looking. Sean, bring us your favorite piece for this show coming up.
Oh, my favorite? Oh, I don't know if I don't know if you could see this. I can't. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the winter scene with a deer.
Nice.
One of my 10-pointers.
Wow.
That's one there.
What is that on, if you don't mind me asking?
It's actually on board. This is on board by 7/8.
Okay.
Just a cradled panel.
Yeah, cradle panel. Yeah, here's a Niagara nocturne. I did.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I love doing nocturnes.
Awesome.
I do a lot of nocturnes from the falls.
Yeah, I just did a couple of nocturnes. They're really they have a special quality to them.
I know. I saw some of the ones that you did, and I stole a lot of information from them.
Good. Because I'm showing it from everybody else. Do you guys know the artist Ben Bauer?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's great. I love looking at his work.
Me too. Yeah.
There's been a bunch of Russian painters that I've found recently on social media that are brilliant as well. I'd love to get Ben Bauer on one of these. I've never met him in person.
Yeah, I saw some of his work at Ray's Gallery when I was in New York with my students, and I was really excited to see some of his pieces in person.
Yeah, I think Ray's Gallery is where I was first introduced to his work as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do really well for him.
Yeah.
Howard Ray's is a great guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The whole family is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're very welcoming every time we go there.
All
We
right,
saw Todd Casey's show there too. It was great.
Oh, I love Todd.
Yeah.
He's such a great guy.
Absolutely.
All right, Tom.
What do you got, Tom?
Let's see it.
Anything? Just a couple. Most of my work is at the show, so I've just got a lot of recent little studies. Out of Martha's Vineyard, I really enjoy working with like walnut oil, doing these like small.
Ooh.
That's nice. Wow.
That's awesome.
And the nice thing about working with walnut oil on watercolor paper is that you can get some solid ideas on, not worrying about color. You can map out your value structures, your masses, really play with composition. So these are fun. I tape them down, put down a light wash with the walnut ink, and then bring up the darks. A lot of times I'll actually mix in a little bit of black India ink and then use a little bit of white gouache for some of the heightening and the reflections and such. So that's something I love to do, especially on a trip. Yeah. Where it's a little more difficult.
Looks like an etching.
Yeah. A lot of times they got this really beautiful warmth to them. It has this, like a sepia tone, and they're really fun to play with. And
do you remember Colleen Berry doing some of those ink wash drawings?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're so good. Oh, they were so good.
Yeah, I miss that crew. That was a fun.
That was really amazing.
I haven't finished it yet, but this was a demonstration from a workshop I did last Monday. It was a one-day workshop, a little park close to here.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
That's nice.
Needs a little bit of work, but it's getting there. It was a really pretty spot.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And this one's conceptual. I'm working through a difficult composition on this one. So the concept was the fireflies out here this year have been insane. Yeah. And about 3 days before 4th of July, my kids and I were out at our property, and we stayed for the fire. We watched the sun go down, and it was a really warm, humid night. And then the moon came out. So we were driving out of the property. I had to pull over. It was like something out of Narnia. It was like the fog coming up, or it was more like the earth was exhaling because it was so warm. The moonlight hit that field and it just like glowed. And then you got just these pops of fireflies. Yeah. And so this is the concept I'm working towards. It's probably halfway done, and I'm trying to figure out where to take it at this point. And it kind of sat away from it today. I think what I'm going to do is probably find just the right tree and get like an anchor tree in this area that's got a lot of character to it. And I think that'll bring it to finish. Hard to see, but there are some subtle fireflies within that.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
Difficult to see. So a lot of times I love working on these conceptual pieces. I think a lot of times they're more powerful because I'm painting, something I experienced and felt. Yeah. So
yeah, I find that my imagined landscapes have a lot more feeling than things that I'm trying to make this look like that, I enjoy it a little bit more. It's more challenging.
Definitely.
Because you never know, like, does it look, when you have reference or you're painting life or whatever, you're like, yeah, I nailed it. But when you're guessing, when you're just making it up, you're like, I don't know, it feels right to me. I don't know if it feels right to you, but it feels right to me.
And so a lot of times like this, I've never painted this type of situation, especially with fireflies, that I'm going to inevitably try to get this to a point where I'm happy with it. Yeah. Turn it over and not look at it for like a month, and then reveal it and see if it's holding together. So yeah. Or better yet, I'll bring John and Sean over and have them.
That's right. They'll tell you if it's working or not. What do you guys got? John, Katie, you want to show something?
I have just moved into a new studio, so I don't have a whole lot like really set, unfortunately. And Sean, I'm kind of with you. I'm in a very, very small studio. So I'm still kind of working out, like getting everything set up. But I'll show you the demo that I just worked on, if we can get some light. So that was a demo for the workshop that we just wrapped up.
Very nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
So there's that. But other than that, I just have, I don't know. I don't know what I have, honestly. I'm working on some roses that are out of my husband's grandpa's garden for him.
Oh, beautiful.
It would be nice to paint him a painting of his roses. But yeah, other than that, I'm still kind of getting settled. So
Yeah, you just moved. You have a new baby.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been crazy the past few months, but hopefully I can get back into it.
Yeah. John, what do you got?
I'm not out in my studio, Ryan, but I got a little still life here. Maybe you can see it. It's just a stargazer.
It's a good one.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm not outside.
Yeah, I like that rustic frame on it too. It's really pretty. It goes well together.
Yeah, really nice. Can you hold that up one more time, John?
Yeah, the light might not be great in here, Tom.
Yeah, that's why I want to make a point. I've seen this one in person. It's a stunner. This is
that's really nice.
A stunner. Yeah, he's right up there.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, cool.
What about you? Anything on deck?
Yeah, geez, I've been making tons of stuff. I have. Here's one. Can you see that?
Nice.
Nice.
It's a really nice frame.
I was just gonna say that.
I do really good frames. I swear it's my best trait.
That's a great piece. It's a really nice piece.
Here's another one. I'm just gonna take what's within reach. Both of these are just invented. This is a really nice frame. I will say this is a great frame. Let's see.
Great painting.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
That's made up, you said?
It's what?
Is it made up, you said?
Yeah, both of those are just made up.
So is the geography of that peak, is that a real peak, or is it even that made up?
Just shape making.
Nice.
Yeah. I was, both of them are kind of playing with a little bit more really compressed, more tonalist colors, and with just that little pop of light, you know, to make it a little bit more dramatic. So, and then beyond that, it's just shape making.
Yep.
I feel like it worries me, you know, when I do invented scenes that they might be a little too obvious, or it might just feel made up. You know, I don't want it to lean towards fantasy. I have had people be like, "Oh, I've been there," and I'm like, "Okay, so it worked," because it's not a place, but the fact that you think it is, good. That's good.
That's a compliment. That's the ultimate compliment.
Well, it's a culmination of your experiences.
Yeah.
Placed into it, you know.
Yeah, light that I see. You guys are probably like me in that. I mean, I don't ever not look. I've got my phone. I can't believe I haven't gotten in an accident yet. I'll be driving anywhere I drive. If I think, oh, that's pretty, I'll just be driving.
Hand out the window.
Yeah, snapping, and then I see all these pictures later. I'm like, what did I think was pretty about that? But it's the memory. It's a constant observation mode.
I'm doing the same thing, and I do the same thing, but I'm like, look at a color, and then I try to figure out how am I going to make that color. Like, combination. Yeah. I'm always playing tricks like that in my mind.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out with us.
Hey, our pleasure. That was
Thanks for having us.
It was really nice to meet you, Sean. Spend some time getting to know you.
You as well.
Tom, it's always great to talk to you.
Too.
Thanks for setting it up with these guys. Thank John. He's left already, but
awesome,
thank John. Thanks, Katie, for joining us.
Okay.
We'll do it again. I hope we can do this again. I'm going to throw this up on YouTube, and hopefully it's interesting to people.
Yeah. Wonderful talking.
Yeah, thanks for sharing the time with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, we'll see ya.
See ya.
Bye.